Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me.
I was sitting at the kitchen counter flipping through RSVP cards when my mom called. I thought maybe she was calling to surprise me, tell me they'd be coming after all. Instead, she sounded like she was canceling a dinner reservation. Hey, honey. I just wanted to let you know we won't be able to make the trip out next weekend. My heart dropped. What do you mean? The wedding's next Saturday. I know, Alan. But with your dad's back acting up and gas being what it is, it's just not a good time. It's a 3-hour drive. From Ohio to Chicago. I could do that in my sleep. What about Rachel? I asked. Is she still coming? She's got big plans, sweetheart. A girls' weekend she can't cancel. I offered to pay. Hotels, gas, whatever they needed. She shut me down before I could finish the sentence. We'll celebrate when you're back. Just us. Somewhere nice. Somewhere nice. Not my wedding. Just somewhere. I didn't say goodbye. Just ended the call and stared at the RSVP cards like they might change on their own. 3 empty seats at the front row, all marked reserved. Their names printed in gold cursive. My fiancée Teresa had ordered them weeks ago. That was supposed to be the part that made me proud. Showing her family that mine was just as present, just as solid. And now? They weren't even coming. Before we continue, tell us in the comments, what city or country are you listening from right now? And let's continue. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes. Couldn't move. Couldn't breathe right. I texted Rachel. Hey, are you really not coming? 3 hours passed. Then she hit me with, sorry, bro. Life's crazy. Hope it's magical. Heart emoji and all. Magical. I stared at that stupid emoji like it might punch me in the face. Teresa had just left for her bachelorette weekend in Lake Geneva. She was probably laughing with her friends right then. She had no idea I was sitting alone in a silent condo, wondering what the hell I did to deserve this. I wanted to believe there was more to the story. Maybe they'd changed their minds. Maybe they were messing with me and planning to show up anyway. I tried to believe that for a minute. Then I remembered graduation. How they missed that too. My promotion dinner. The time I got hospitalized and they didn't come. I remembered all of it like it just happened. And then I did what I always do. I got up, cleaned the kitchen, and told myself to suck it up, because that's what I was raised to do. That and stay quiet. But not this time. I walked to the fridge, yanked it open, grabbed a beer, and slammed the door so hard the magnets fell off. I drained the beer, grabbed another, and ended up in the tub with the bottle still in my hand. No bubbles, no music, nothing fancy. Just hot water and silence. I sat there staring at the faucet like it owed me answers. I kept thinking, why am I surprised? This wasn't the first time they didn't show. College graduation? My dad skipped it for a bowling tournament in Sandusky. Mom said he couldn't reschedule because his team really counted on him. The man couldn't even bowl a clean game, but somehow that beat watching his son walk across a damn stage. My job promotion dinner? Mom bailed because Rachel had a dentist appointment the next morning. Not even during the dinner, just the next day. And when I told her it hurt my feelings, she laughed and said, Alan, it's not like this is the Oscars. I sank lower in the tub, water up to my neck. I wanted to call Teresa, but I didn't want to ruin her weekend. She deserved one happy thing before all this came crashing down. But I still hit the call button. From the porch this time. She picked up on the 3rd ring. I could hear laughter in the background, music, maybe someone pouring drinks. Hey, babe, she said, all soft and sweet. Everything okay? I paused, then forced it out. They're not coming. She didn't say anything for a moment, just silence. Then I heard her walk away from the noise, probably stepped outside. Your parents? She asked. Yeah, said gas is too expensive and Dad's back is out. Rachel's got plans. Another pause. Longer this time. Alan. Her voice changed. Lower. They just drove to Nashville. Last weekend. For your sister's birthday. I stopped breathing. My hand clenched the porch railing. What? I asked. They posted pictures. Your mom and dad with Rachel. At a rooftop bar. New outfits, cake, the works. I didn't know what to say. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt. I'd offered to cover everything. Hotel, gas, food, whatever they needed. And they still found a way to say no, to me. But for Rachel, they made a road trip out of it like it was nothing. It was never about money. Not once. They've made their choice, Teresa said gently now. You don't have to keep trying. I didn't answer. I was too busy feeling like an idiot. I'm sorry, she added. I nodded even though she couldn't see it. We'll still save them seats, I said. Front row. She didn't argue. She just said, okay. But I knew she didn't believe they'd come either. I hung up and went inside. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch with the TV on mute, watching the ceiling fan spin like maybe it'd point me in the right direction. My chest felt heavy, like all the weight I'd been carrying finally slid into one spot and sat there. I thought about calling my dad, maybe to beg one more time. But then I remembered how he used to say, don't ever chase people, son. If they want to be there, they will. Guess he didn't mean that for himself. By morning, I'd already decided. I'd give them until the last minute. I'd keep those damn seats open and hope for a miracle, even if every part of me already knew. Morning came fast. I barely slept. I'd been up since before sunrise, pacing the hotel room, drinking cold coffee, checking my phone like a fool waiting for a message that wasn't coming. Teresa's brothers picked me up around 10. Big guys, loud, full of jokes. They brought bagels and made fun of how pale I looked. I laughed because it was easier than explaining why my stomach was in knots. The ceremony was at noon. Lakefront venue, clear skies, just enough breeze to keep the heat off your neck. The kind of day people dream about when they plan a wedding. Everything ran like clockwork. Flowers were perfect. Food showed up on time. Even the sound guy got the music right on the first try. No screw-ups, except for the 3 front-row chairs on my side. White bows, polished wood, and each one had a printed place card with their names on it. Mom, Dad, Rachel, all untouched. Empty. I stood up front next to my best man, Ethan, pretending like it didn't gut me. Teresa's side? Packed. Her uncles cracked jokes with the photographer. Her aunt straightened my tie, fixed a wrinkle in my jacket, told me I looked nervous and brave at the same time. Teresa's mom gave me a tight squeeze and whispered, "We're proud of you." I didn't know what to say. No one had ever said that to me on a big day before. Then the music changed. I turned and there she was. Teresa looked like something straight out of a movie. Dress flowing behind her, smile calm but locked on me like she knew I needed it. Her dad walked her down the aisle, slow and steady, hand on hers, not a single doubt in his face. I stood taller when I saw her. I had to. If I crumbled then, in front of everyone, it wouldn't be about the people missing. It'd be about me not being enough. The vows went smooth. I didn't mess mine up. Her voice cracked a little during hers, but she held on. Everyone clapped when we kissed. Some people cried. Not me. I was dry-eyed and numb, floating through my own wedding like a damn ghost. At the reception, Teresa's brothers ran the show. They moved tables, coordinated with the DJ, kept the drinks flowing. Her aunt pinned up her hair when it started to fall loose from dancing. Her cousin sewed a button back onto my tux jacket after it popped. They all showed up in ways that didn't need announcing. Just steady, quiet, present. Dinner came and went. I made my rounds, shook hands, smiled for pictures, held Teresa's hand like a lifeline. I looked over at those empty chairs so many times I lost count. Each glance felt like a punch. The photographer finally asked if we wanted to move them before he took the family shots. I told him no. Leave them. Let them sit in the frame like they mattered, even if they never bothered to show. Then came the cake. I cut it slow, handed Teresa her piece, and turned to grab mine. That's when Ethan stepped up beside me, phone in hand. He looked uncomfortable, like he didn't want to ruin the night, but knew I needed to see it. "Man," he said, "you need to see this." I took the phone, Facebook was open. My cousin Maya's profile. Her post said, "Franklin Family Cruise 2025. Blessed to be together." The picture hit me like a damn brick. They were all there. My mom in a straw hat, drink in hand. Dad with a fresh tan and a Hawaiian shirt that looked brand new. Rachel in a sundress with a fruity drink, flashing peace signs next to some guy I didn't recognize. A damn group shot on the deck of the ship, all smiles and sunset lighting. The caption didn't even try to hide it. They were proud of being there. Proud of not being here. Same exact time I was saying I do, they were floating in the Gulf of Mexico sipping piña coladas. I gave Ethan his phone back and just stood there, staring at the cake like I couldn't remember how to move. Teresa saw my face, came up and whispered, "What happened?" I didn't answer. Couldn't. She followed my eyes to the 3 empty chairs and got it without a word. Someone shouted for a toast. The DJ called us to the dance floor. I smiled through it, clenched my jaw, danced with my wife while something inside me cracked like glass under pressure. I don't think anyone else noticed. Later that night, after the music died down and the guests thinned out, I found myself back in the coat room, alone. Not even hiding, just trying to breathe without shaking. Teresa came in with a slice of cake and a glass of bourbon. She didn't say anything, just sat down next to me and put her head on my shoulder. I looked at her and said, "They really chose a cruise." She nodded. "Yeah, they did." Teresa just whispered, "I'm so sorry." I didn't answer. I couldn't. My hand was locked around the phone like it was part of me. She reached over and set the bourbon next to me, the cake too, untouched. I sat there scrolling with my thumb, each picture sharper than the last. My mom on the deck, drink in hand, grinning like she'd just won the lottery. My dad leaned back in a beach chair, gut out, shades on. Rachel in the center of a group selfie, throwing up peace signs like a teenager. None of them looked guilty, not even a flicker of shame. They looked relaxed, happy, like nothing about that weekend mattered outside of their cruise buffet and endless drinks. Then I hit the video. It was taken in one of the ship's ballrooms. Fancy lighting, white tablecloths. My dad stood with a glass of champagne in one hand and a mic in the other. His voice was crystal clear. "To family," he said, "the ones who really matter." A few people clapped. Rachel laughed off to the side. Someone yelled, "Amen!" in the background. I watched it twice. The second time I didn't blink. My jaw locked up, tight enough to pop. That was it. That was the worst one. Not the photos, not the missing seats. That damn toast. My dad had the nerve to raise a glass to family on the exact day he ditched his son's wedding. And not only that, he made it clear I wasn't included in that sentence. Not even close. I handed the phone to Teresa, or maybe she took it. I honestly don't remember. I buried my face in my hands and sat like that until my palms went damp with sweat. I wasn't crying. I was too far past crying. I felt heat behind my eyes, sure, but what was building in me wasn't sadness. It was fury. I'd spent weeks planning this wedding, making sure everything was perfect, budgeting, organizing, giving them every opportunity to show up. I paid for a hotel block they never used. I called twice to offer gas money. I sent the invites myself, with handwritten notes, like an idiot who still believed they gave a damn. They never even considered it. They were packing flip-flops and sunscreen while I was folding place cards with their names. Teresa leaned her head against my shoulder. She didn't talk. Just sat there with me, quiet, steady. Eventually, I picked up the bourbon and drank the whole glass in one go. It burned going down, but not enough. "I feel like a damn joke," I said. "You're not," she whispered. "They are." I nodded, but it didn't help. The phone started buzzing again. Not calls at first, just notifications. Facebook tags, comments, posts from extended family gushing over the trip. So grateful for this time together. Franklin's forever. Nothing better than family. I turned the phone off, dropped it face down on the floor. Didn't matter. It kept vibrating. Texts started rolling in. Then calls. I powered it off completely. But even in the silence, I felt it buzzing in my head. They knew I saw it. That's why they were blowing up my phone now. Damage control, lies, excuses. I knew how it would go. Mom would say it was a misunderstanding. Dad would claim the cruise was planned a long time ago. Rachel would swear she didn't know the wedding was the same weekend, even though I'd mailed her the save the date over a year ago. They were already rehearsing their lines. I was sure of it. Teresa picked up the phone and slipped it into her purse without a word. She stood, dusted off her dress, and looked down at me. "I'll handle it if they show up here," she said. That pulled something out of me. A small laugh, bitter as hell. "If they show up here, I'm calling security." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Then I'll bring the camera." We sat like that for a while, just the two of us. Door closed, light dim, the smell of frosting and bourbon mixing in the air. Outside, people were still dancing. I could hear the DJ playing something upbeat. A woman's voice shouted, "Congratulations!" in the hallway. My wedding was still happening. I was supposed to be out there, celebrating, hugging people, kissing my bride, eating cake. But instead, I was in a coat room, holding onto a bourbon glass and trying to figure out how to erase the image of my dad toasting to the ones who really matter. When I finally stood, I didn't feel lighter, just more clear. I wasn't going to beg anymore. I wasn't going to keep pretending they were just complicated or busy. They chose that ship. They chose piña coladas. They chose a damn toast that cut deeper than anything they'd ever said to my face. And now they wanted to talk, to explain. Number. They'd had their chance. When we finally left the venue, I didn't feel like a newlywed. I felt like I'd just walked out of a wreck and was waiting to feel where the bruises would show up first. Back at the hotel, I tried to shake it off. I changed out of my tux, took off my shoes, splashed water on my face like that would fix something. Teresa sat on the edge of the bed, pulling pins from her hair, silent. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. The silence said it all. Then there was a knock on the door. It was Teresa's mom, holding a plain white envelope. "This was dropped off at the front desk," she said. "Name's in your dad's handwriting." She looked at me like she already knew it wasn't good news, then handed it over and walked away. I didn't open it right away. My stomach was still tight from everything earlier, and the bourbon from the coat room was sitting heavy. But curiosity won. I peeled the flap back and pulled out a single folded sheet of yellow-lined paper. It started like this. "Alan, stop this before you destroy everything." That account was complicated. That account? What account? I looked up at Teresa, confused. She read the line over my shoulder and raised her eyebrows. "What account is he talking about?" "I have no idea." She went straight to her bag and grabbed her phone. "Let me text Jen. She'll know what to look for." Jen was one of her friends from college, smart as hell, worked in probate law, the kind of person who always had answers and wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. 15 minutes later, we were sitting at the little round table in the hotel suite, Teresa's laptop open in front of us, Jen on speakerphone. I gave her the basics, and she walked me through what to check. I remembered an old joint account Grandpa had set up when I was a kid. Something about making sure I had a cushion for school, emergencies, starting life on the right foot. We logged in using the old email I still had access to. Password hadn't changed since college. The screen loaded, and there it was. Initial balance, $62,000. Deposits going back 20 years. Birthday checks, savings bonds, gifts from Grandpa, even a couple small insurance dividends. It wasn't a trust, just a regular account with my name and Grandpa's on it. But then came the withdrawals. Line after line, regular as clockwork, starting around the time Grandpa got sick. 1,000 here, 5,000 there. A week before my 26th birthday, $4,800 labeled home project. Then $3,500 labeled auto repair. Another one, $7,200, vacation fund. Every one of them electronically signed. My dad's name, not mine. The current balance sat at the bottom of the screen like a final insult. $2,118.47. I stared at it for a while before I spoke. That was supposed to be for my future. Alan, Teresa started. That was my emergency fund, my college backup. Grandpa told me that money would be there if I ever needed it. They took everything, she said, her voice flat, and used it like it was theirs. I clicked into the details, hoping I was wrong, hoping maybe there'd be some explanation. There wasn't. There were ATM withdrawals from their zip code, card swipes at restaurants we'd never been to. One note just read, R. Franklin, used with verbal approval. Rachel, my sister. I felt sick. Do you want me to get Jen back on? Teresa asked. Not yet. I sat there just staring at the screen. It was all so obvious now. Every time they said they couldn't help with tuition. Every time they bailed on something because money was tight. Every time they told me to just hang in there. They were siphoning off my backup plan while telling me I should be grateful for what I had. I scrolled all the way to the beginning. The first deposit was from when I was 6 years old. Grandpa had written, "Happy birthday, little man. Start saving." He saved. And they drained it. I looked at Teresa. They stole from me. She didn't say anything right away. She just leaned in and put her hand over mine. And now we fight back. Monday morning hit hard. Teresa and I barely spoke during the drive. There was no music, no small talk, just the sound of tires on pavement and the occasional buzz from my phone that I ignored on purpose. We pulled up to a brick building in Oak Park that looked more like an old library than a law office. The name on the glass said Robert Carson and Associates. He was Grandpa's lawyer. A guy I'd only ever met once, and even then, just in passing. He looked like a retired senator, gray suit, straight posture, hands folded like he'd been waiting for us all year. We shook hands, sat down in front of his big mahogany desk, and he didn't waste a second. "Alan," he said, "your grandfather left everything to you." The words didn't even register at first. I blinked. "Everything?" Carson nodded. "Yes, the house, the rental properties, the stock accounts, it's all yours. Has been legally since your 25th birthday." I looked at Teresa, confused. "So why—" "They weren't supposed to have access to anything after you turned 25, Carson said, cutting in sharp. "Your grandfather made that clear. But they came to me and said you weren't interested. Claimed you were too busy, that you told them to handle it." That made my blood go cold. He opened a thick file folder and started laying papers out on the desk. Statements, transfer logs, fake email printouts. He'd kept copies of everything. Grandpa must have trusted this guy with his life, and thank God he did. "They told me you didn't want the properties," Carson continued. "Said you preferred cash, that you asked them to sell the stocks and close out the smaller accounts." He slid a page across the desk. "I now know those documents were forged." I clenched my fists under the table. "And you didn't confirm any of this with me?" He sighed, rubbed the bridge of his nose. "I tried. Called twice. Left voicemails. The number I had was disconnected 6 months later. Your father told me you'd changed it and wanted privacy." Of course he did. He turned to Teresa. "I assume you're the one who found the account activity?" She nodded. "There's barely 2,000 left. He drained it." Carson didn't flinch. He just reached under the desk and pulled out a worn gray storage box. "Your grandfather left this behind with specific instructions. Only give it to Alan, in person, once he comes on his own." Teresa opened the lid. Inside were 2 stacks of neatly folded letters, all in Grandpa's handwriting, rubber-banded together in groups. There was also a manila envelope labeled "Final Instructions." I picked up the first letter. It was dated 10 years ago. "Alan, I hope you never need to read this, but if you're holding it, something went wrong." I flipped through more. Every single one was like a breadcrumb trail. He wrote about my childhood, about the day he opened the account, about his fears that my parents would use me up the way they used him. Letter after letter, quietly warning me. The one that hit hardest was sealed in red and labeled "Only if they steal." I opened it. If they steal from you, fight. It means they never deserved what they had. Do not let guilt keep you silent. You're not the villain for protecting yourself. I handed it to Carson. What now? He slid a fresh stack of papers across the desk. Now we press charges: financial theft, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. I've got everything we need. All we need is your signature. I stared at the line where my name belonged. My hand hovered over the pen for maybe 5 seconds, no more. I didn't hesitate. I didn't cry. I didn't second guess. I signed every damn one of them. When I was done, Carson leaned back and said, "Good. Now we take it public." It didn't take long for the drama to explode. By Thursday, Rachel had already gone viral on TikTok. Big crocodile tears, sad piano music in the background, and her talking straight into the camera like she was some kind of victim of a Lifetime movie. She started with, "I just want to tell my truth." Then claimed I used to lock her in closets when we were kids, that I bullied her, isolated her, made her life miserable growing up, said I'd always been controlling, and now I was trying to steal from the family. She ended the video with a shaky voice and a dramatic little whisper. "He's not who you think he is." The comments blew up. At first, people ate it up, but that didn't last, because someone, God bless them, posted screenshots of the actual will, front and center, Grandpa's signature, legal stamps, public record. Rachel left a used golf club set valued at $40. Everything else? House, rentals, accounts, assets, it was all under my name, clear as day. Then the truth hit the comments like a freight train. One user wrote, "You cried over closets but drained his inheritance." Another said, "You weren't written out. You were never in." The internet flipped on her fast. People pulled receipts, old pictures of her birthday dinners at steakhouses, spa trips. That Nashville weekend she claimed was just girls. They tore through her timeline and found every crack. She made 2 more videos trying to clarify things, but no one was buying it anymore. Then I got a message from Mia, our cousin who used to keep her head down and stay neutral. She wrote, "They always treated you like you were less. I see it now. I'm done with them too." Just 10 words, but it landed hard. I sat with it for a minute. Then I texted back, "Appreciate it. Hope you're doing okay." She didn't respond right away, but that was fine. I didn't need a whole speech. Just knowing someone else saw it, that was enough. A couple days later, my mom showed up at her church's Sunday service in a full drama spiral, cried through the whole thing, blamed the devil for tearing her family apart, talked about how her ungrateful son had turned his back on the people who raised him, said she needed prayers, said she was heartbroken. Someone filmed the whole thing from the second row and posted it with the caption, "When the money runs dry, so do the lies." It got shared over 20,000 times. I didn't watch the whole video, but Teresa did. She sat on the couch, arms crossed, phone lit up, just shaking her head. "She's going for the sympathy vote," she muttered. Classic. "I'm not taking the bait," I said. "Good, because it's bait covered in trash." We didn't respond, not publicly, not privately. We didn't have to. The town saw what was happening. People who used to nod politely to my parents in the grocery store started crossing aisles. Friends of mine who'd been quiet during the wedding drama suddenly started texting me. I knew something was off with them. And then came the cherry on top. Rachel's ex-boyfriend, Danny, posted a video on his Instagram story. He sat in his car, phone angled like he couldn't wait to get this off his chest. I watched them treat Alan like trash for years. They never showed up for him. Not once. They're not mad about money. They're mad they ran out of money to steal. He looked straight into the lens and added, "If you think Rachel's the victim, you don't know Rachel." That one hit hard. It got reposted and clipped and captioned into a dozen different edits. One guy even dubbed it over a scene from The Godfather. I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. Through all of it, Teresa stayed steady, calm. She never encouraged me to fight online. She just kept reminding me, let the truth walk. It'll get there. She was right. Every text I didn't answer, every phone call I let go to voicemail, it all added up. I wasn't playing defense. I wasn't arguing or explaining or trying to win back people who had already made their choice. They were the ones performing now, telling stories, crying in churches, making videos about what really happened. But the will said what happened. The bank logs said what happened. My grandfather's letters, they screamed it. And everyone else, they were finally starting to listen. The fallout went quiet for a couple days. I thought maybe they'd finally backed off. Maybe the internet embarrassment did what it needed to do. But Wednesday night, just after 11, our doorbell camera pinged. Teresa and I were in bed, lights off, watching some dumb cooking show in silence. She paused it and checked her phone first. "Alan," she said, sitting up. "Someone's at the front door." I grabbed mine and opened the app. There he was, my dad. He was hunched over our front door, swaying, trying to shove a damn credit card into the lock like he was breaking into a cheap motel. He looked drunk out of his mind, slurring something we couldn't make out, dressed in a wrinkled t-shirt and shorts that didn't match. My jaw clenched so tight it popped. Teresa didn't even blink. She hit the intercom through the app and said, clear as day, "You have 10 seconds to get off our porch before I call the cops." He turned toward the camera, middle finger raised. "You think this is over? You don't get to do this to us." I was already dialing. By the time the police showed up, my mom was there too, screaming from the sidewalk, hair a mess, arms waving like she was auditioning for a soap opera. And Rachel, she stood across the street, filming the whole thing like some warped reality TV director, panning between the flashing lights and her sobbing mother like she was catching the moment. The cops didn't hesitate. They pulled my dad off the porch, cuffed him, and loaded him into the back seat of the cruiser without saying much. He didn't fight, just kept yelling about what I owed him and how I was poisoned by Teresa. My mom wasn't done, though. She pushed past the first officer and stood at the edge of our yard, screaming at the top of her lungs, "You're destroying this family! Look what you're doing! You're tearing us apart!" I walked out barefoot, didn't even put on a shirt. I stopped halfway down the driveway and stared her straight in the face. "No," I said, loud enough for Rachel's phone to pick up clear audio. "You destroyed it when you picked a cruise over my wedding." She went quiet, just for a second, like the words slapped the air out of her. Then she turned to Rachel and cried harder, hoping it'd play better on video. I turned around and walked back inside. Later that night, while I was cleaning up the living room, Rachel sent a text. "I need to talk to you, alone." I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. I met her the next afternoon at a coffee shop near my office. Public place. Neutral ground. She showed up in full damage control mode. Hair done, makeup perfect, trying to look calm, but her hands kept twitching around the straw in her drink. She didn't even bother with small talk. "You ruined everything," she snapped. "I'm getting married next year, and now the money's tied up. I don't even know if I'll get the venue deposit back." I stared at her like she'd just spoken a foreign language. "You're worried about your wedding venue? Don't twist this," she said. "You're blowing everything out of proportion. This was supposed to be handled in the family." I took a sip of my coffee, let the silence hang a little. "Use your own inheritance," I said. She blinked. "What?" "You know, that $40 golf club set Grandpa left you." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I stood up, dropped a 5 on the table, and walked out before she could find words. She didn't follow. The next day, our lawyer had the papers delivered, civil and criminal. Theft, fraud, misrepresentation. Every signature backed up with evidence, every claim airtight. Teresa poured us each a shot of whiskey that night. No toasts, no speeches, just a long exhale and the sound of glasses tapping once. After that, my phone never stopped buzzing. Calls, texts, voicemails all back to back, some from blocked numbers, others from relatives, just wanting to talk or hear my side. I didn't answer a single one. I wasn't interested in explaining myself anymore. Not to people who'd watched this circus for years and only had something to say now that the money train was gone. For the first time in my life, I felt still. Not good, not happy, just calm. Like everything that had been pressing down on me was finally off my chest, and I could breathe again without asking for permission. 2 Saturdays later, I stood on the porch of the house Grandpa left me, waiting for the cars to pull up. The invitations were clear: extended family only. No parents, no Rachel, no second chances. They came in slow: cousins, great aunts, people I hadn't seen in years but still shared blood with. A few looked nervous, some curious. No one asked where my mom and dad were. I think most of them already knew. We had folding chairs set up in the backyard, just like Grandpa used to do for cookouts. I stood in front of them, next to the garden he planted years ago. Now half dead, weeds pushing up through dry dirt. It felt like the right place to finish it. "I'm not here to ask for support," I said. "I'm not here for a reunion. Grandpa left me this house because he saw what none of you had the guts to admit. This family's rotten from the inside out." A couple heads dropped. Someone whispered, but I didn't stop. He gave me everything because he saw how it would end. And he was right. While I was building a life, they were draining it behind my back. I reached into the folder Teresa held and started handing out sealed envelopes. "Cease and desist letters," I said. "Legal documents. You're no longer allowed to share my name, Teresa's name, or anything related to my marriage or estate on social media, church prayer chains, or TikTok. If you do, my lawyer's ready." Murmurs broke out across the chairs. One woman started crying quietly. Another guy stood up like he was going to argue, then sat back down when I looked him in the eye. "You won't be invited to birthdays. You won't be told when our children are born. You will not know their names. They'll grow up without a single story about this side of the family, because it ends with me." I scanned the crowd, making sure it landed. "You think that's cruel? Then maybe you should have said something when my dad stole from me, when my mom stood on my lawn crying for a camera, when Rachel sold a lie online for views." Mia stood near the back, shoulders tight, arms crossed. Her eyes didn't leave mine. She was 17 now, quiet, like she always was at family stuff, but smart, always listening. After a long pause, she raised her hand halfway. "Can I say something?" she asked. I nodded. She stepped forward, looked down at the envelope in her hand, then back up at me. "Can I call you Uncle Alan when I turn 18? That cracked something in me. I didn't smile, not fully, but I nodded once. "You can call me that now." She tucked the envelope in her jacket and didn't say another word. Most people didn't stay long after that. A few walked out fast, avoiding eye contact. Some hugged each other quietly before leaving, like they knew this was the last time we'd all be in one place. Nobody argued. No one threw a fit. They just left, like they knew the show was over and the lights had been turned on. Mia stayed behind. We gave her a box of Grandpa's old photo albums to keep. I told her to read the letters when she was ready. Teresa packed her a to-go bag with snacks and drove her to her mom's afterward. That night, I stood in the empty living room. Lights off, just me and the shadows. It still smelled faintly like Grandpa's pipe tobacco. I hadn't noticed that in a long time. 2 weeks later, we sold the house. The buyers were a young couple with 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, all under 10. First thing they did was hang wind chimes on the porch. Then they set up a swing set in the backyard and parked 3 bikes by the fence. Every time I drove past after that, it looked less like his house and more like something new, brighter, louder, alive again. Grandpa didn't just give me money. He gave me the only thing I'd never had growing up, an exit, a way out, a future without them. 1 year later, on a sunny Tuesday morning, Teresa and I walked into City Hall wearing jeans and matching sneakers. No guests, no cameras, no big plans. Just the 2 of us and a judge with a tired smile. We stood in front of him, hands clasped, reading vows we wrote the night before over takeout. No drama, no lies, no empty chairs, just peace. Afterward, we grabbed burgers and milkshakes and went home. That night, her parents hosted a little dinner at their place. Nothing fancy. Grilled chicken, salad, a bottle of wine her dad had been saving. He raised his glass toward me and said, "To Alan, the son I never had." I didn't say anything, just nodded and clinked glasses. My throat was too tight to speak. Later that night, back home, I pulled out the final letter from Grandpa, the one labeled, "Open when you're finally free." It was short. A single page, written in shaky pen. "Don't let their guilt shape your future. You've earned your joy. Let it shine so bright it blinds them." That was it. No stories, no guilt, just freedom, spelled out in ink. A few weeks after that, Rachel's lawyer emailed mine, said she was planning a wedding and struggling with expenses. Asked if I'd consider helping with some of the costs for the sake of healing. I mailed a check for $50. Memo line said, "Same as you gave me." It was never cashed. Teresa laughed when I showed her, said I was too generous. Life moved on. We named our daughter June, after Grandpa's sister, the one he always said told the truth, even when it made people uncomfortable. She came out with a full head of hair and a stare that already looked like it didn't take crap from anybody. Teresa's mom makes soup for us every Sunday. Always the same table, same laughter, same seat saved for me with the best bowl. She never says it, but I know it's her way of reminding me I'm part of something better now. No one has to be convinced to show up. They just do. That's the rule now. Family shows up. And me? I show up too. Not out of duty or guilt, but because I finally can. Because this version of life, the quiet, honest, drama-free kind, it's what I fought for, and I'm not letting it go. Would you have sent Rachel that $50 check, or ignored her completely? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're still listening, hit that like and subscribe button now.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.